Hey, hey, it's Sporty King. Goodness to you. And I say goodness because I don't know whether you're watching morning, afternoon, or evening. But isn't it great to have good in front of your salutation? Look, I always get on early on Wednesdays. If those of you who've been with us before know that that's what I do, gives a chance to build the audience, and it's personal choice and taste when you decide to have your podcast. Like for instance, if you tell people you're coming on at 1, and they may save, okay, let me know at 1, and then when 1 o'clock hits, oh my God, I meant to check that. Well, you know what? And then they said, well, let me just do this one last thing. Come on, everybody's got stuff going on in their day. So I like to come on early, 5 minutes early, and give a chance to get everybody get settled in, get your last thing closed out, get yourself some tea, some coffee, get that last hand wash, whatever. But as well, I get to do my shout outs. So, when you come in, wherever you're coming in from, because I'm broadcasting it live across Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, just put a shout out in the chat where you're calling from in the comments so I can at least get your name across the screen, okay? Because that way people can see that someone else is watching from another media other than what they are. So that's what I'm here for. So don't if you're coming in live, don't, oh my God, I missed something. Nope, you haven't missed anything yet. I haven't started yet. Of course, if you're watching on the video, I want you, if you're watching on the video, by the way, I want you to be ready that when there are things that I talk about putting in the chat, I want you to still put stuff in the chat. Don't worry about the see what the big picture is. Sometimes it's important for us to take the small steps in the small picture before we get the big picture. Just like when we're watching a movie or TV show, right? You don't know what the like trying to figure out who's the crook or whatever, how the movie's going to end. You don't know, but you watch the little hints, and that's what life is about as well, isn't it? Watching the little hints and tips that help us go forward, because wisdom, being in retrospect, excuse me, we can go back, and sometimes we have to go back to see just how blessed we are. Don't ever forget that. And because, one thing I tell people, I'm not positive 24/7, 365, 24/7. I'm not, but I'm positive more than I'm negative. I'm up more than I'm down. I'm going forward more than I'm going backwards. And there's nothing wrong with every now and then just take a step back and take a look at your work and see how much God has done in your life. And so I see some people are on there now. Come on and put your name in the chat so I can get that click and give you that shout out, because all I can see is a number and know that somebody's there. And I thank somebody who just gave me a love emoji reaction. So that's good. So that's what we want to make sure we do. We've got less than 2 minutes for today's message. Oh man, take me back to Massachusetts and my high school buddy, Bob Parati. Good to see you, man. But are you living in Massachusetts, Bob, or are you in Connecticut now or Long Island? But yeah, man, that's a great flashback for me. I went to a Jesuit prep school in Massachusetts, and so yay, love it. Yeah, good. Connecticut. Okay, great, excellent. We got less than 2 minutes for today's message, but yeah, and Bob's coming in off of Facebook. So now, see, if you're on LinkedIn or YouTube, you can see I got one of my classmates. One of my high school buddies, and we were in the same class as well. The class is in 73, and boy, what a great time we had. So thank you, Bob. It's so good to see you. Yeah, thank you. See, you got to get that shout out. We got less than a minute to go for today's actual message, where we're going to be talking about the best have you seen. And so there's one of my best friends from Cranwell, from my high school. Yeah. And he had to put Rob. I meant to see that. Rob. Good to see you, Rob, and welcome about. Yeah, thank you. Yes, you are absolutely welcome, man. Nothing but a great memory and smiles. And that's what we have to remember sometimes, is where do we collect our smiles and memories from? You collect them from people. That's where I get my inspiration for some of my messages, is through conversation. So that's also why I always say, put stuff in the chat, and, and that way that gives me a thought of, hey, maybe I'll talk about that next time. And so all of this stuff, everything you do has an impact. You have to decide that it's a positive impact. So that's going right back to what I was saying about 365, 24/7. You have to make sure that your spirit knows that you're having a positive impact. And speaking of one of my favorite positive impacts, my sister from Chicago, who is now my sister here in Charlotte, Roger Carroll. RR, Roger Carroll Rogers. That's not a pirate, RR. That's Roger Carroll Rogers. And hi, Sporty Family, because we have created a little family here on our Wednesday broadcast. Isn't that what it's all about? The family we choose is often the family that we use, and a lot of times the one that we never lose. I just made that up. I'm going to check the broadcast so I can write that one down. So let's get rolling with today's message, all right? And like I say, I always say goodness, because I don't know whether you're watching morning, noon, or evening, but isn't it great to have good in front of your salutation? And it's like people say, hey, it's great to see you. I'd rather be seen than viewed, talked with rather than talked about. All right. So welcome to Glue Wednesday. Now, I decided, a lot of times people say Wednesday is hump day. That comes from old school rules where people that say, hey, you work Monday to Friday and then there's the weekend. So Wednesday's the middle. That's the glue, the hump day. But the truth is there's always been people who work Sunday to, any day from Sunday to Saturday. There's always been flex time. It just never had that title. Restaurants, public transportation, law enforcement, first responders, etc. So there's always been flex time. Everyone has not worked Monday to Friday. So what I decided that Wednesday is actually the middle of a 7-day week, regardless of when you work. So it's the day that keeps the week end and the week beginning together. Thus, I call it the glue, because it brings me to my favorite pose. And this goes to another little shout out to Bob, because we were in a Jesuit prep school, prayer. And that's therefore I call it Glue Wednesday, because glue is GLUS. It's bringing us together, but it's God's love undoes everything. Not that God's love will undo and tear things apart, but that which has been torn apart, God's love will glue it back together. And isn't that what we want to do? We don't want to hump to get over. We want to glue and keep it together. It never has been more important than it has been as we've learned from the pandemic. And it was actually during the pandemic that I started something new. See, I started my Glue Wednesday broadcast back in 2017. When the pandemic hit, I upped it to Monday and Friday as well. So I had Glue Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Well, just like I earlier, see how it all connects? I earlier said I get new inspiration from things that you offer or talk about. What I decided to do was have people I'd say, look, let's go through the alphabet, and each week I'll feature a different letter of the alphabet. And so therefore I called it the GAS, the Glue Alphabet Series, where each week I'd feature a different letter of the alphabet. And so I would tell people, look, put the next week's feature letter is going to be this. So put words that begin with that letter in the feed, in the chat, and I'll make you my co-authors the next week. Now, if you're on YouTube, by the way, you would want to YouTube or on my website, you want to put that in the comments, not the threads, because when the broadcast's over, they get erased. Don't put them yet. Next week, I'll give you a spoiler alert. Next week, my feature letter is going to be the letter T, but I only give you that spoiler alert in case you have to leave before the broadcast is over, because I wait to the end to ask people to volunteer their words so that they can be a co-author. So this week we're featuring the letter S, and my co-authors from last week who gave me words, Victor Morris gave me the word sorry. Tina Saulsbury gave me survival. Daphne Francis gave me superior, and Lorenzo Clemons gave me salient and solvent. And I do, and because it was just a small group, I take the two, but I usually say one. And so Lorenzo is greedy. That's my boy. He's from Chicago, so he's greedy. He gonna get two. He tried to get 3 words in, y'all. And Lorenzo, you ain't on here right now, but you'll see that shout out. He tried to get 3. I ain't mad at you, but that's what I want to do, is everybody at least get a word in there and 2. And then I saw his 3rd one. I said, well, I'm not going to worry about it this time. But what will happen is you'll see the author's name and the word as we discuss them. See, the goal is to get the word into the message. I'm not going to say, oh, there's that word, but they're going to stream across the bottom where it'll be the word and then the co-author's name. as we're discussing the word. So not necessarily always pointing out, but every now and then I will point it out and you'll see why. I always have what I call a guiding scripture. Okay, so my guiding scripture today is John 2:10. And it says, usually a host serves the best wine first, he said. Then, when everyone is full and doesn't care, in other words, when everyone's drunk, he brings out less expensive wines. But you have kept the best wine until now. And we know, most of us know that that scripture is from when Jesus turned the water into wine. And so one of the guests went to the host and gave him this compliment of saving the best for last. So we're using scripture John 2:10 to create the message today of best. And it's one of my affirmations, B.E.S.T, better, easier, smarter, and tougher. That's how we get our best. So let me first say that last week we had a double dose. We had a double dose of quality and quakes, where two people actually volunteered those words for next week. So that's why don't worry about the fee. Say, oh, well, they use my word. I'm going to come up with a different word. You can put the same words in. And I let that become a double dose of blessings. And actually what I thought was a strengthening of the message. This week, I've got another double for you. It's not in the co-author's words, but it's the fact that there's two brothers who grew up in Grant Projects, Harlem, New York City, and joining, and that would be me. So joining me on screen for this message and making his glue host, his glue host debut, as I call it, is Victor Morris. Welcome, Vic, to the screen. What's going on, Vic? Say something, because I may have you muted. Oops. Oh, gosh. Let me put you back on there. I got to make sure I got you unmuted. Are you muted, Vic? Talk so we can see if it's working.
Take your time. Can you hear me now?
Boom. Take a tack. Can you hear me? All right. So making his glue co-host debut is Victor Morris. So welcome to the screen. How you doing, Vic?
Yes. Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure and honor to be here. Okay, I've always been a follower of this. As I was growing up, I was young. I went to the American Bible Society as one of my first jobs. I stood there, walked in that door, and stayed for 8 years. And boy, did I have questions for them every day. I was reading and I would have my questions, and they enlightened me. And until this day is why my soul is at peace. Okay. And I look and I don't judge, and I look at everybody and I appreciate everybody. And I know the struggle that we are all in right now. This is a time we have never seen before. So looking at Sporty, who I know since PS 125, these are people, this thing of a friendship that lasts that long is priceless. You cannot buy this. Okay, so as I watch this man grow and become this speaker and this person that I see today, who taught me yesterday in 15 minutes how to work this computer. Okay, get myself on there, dust off my little screen, which I had this computer for 8 months, Xperia. Okay, clean my list. I'm on here talking now, got my mic going, about to do my message now, which is I'm doing sorry.
You going? You jumping ahead now.
I'm sorry.
You're jumping ahead.
I'm sorry.
Chill out.
Okay. Okay. Oh, I thought I was supposed to do my work. Okay, I'm just introducing myself. Okay.
All right. So anyway, like you said, boom. So and thank you for all of that, my good friend. But I'm gonna walk right into what you said, but I want you to be ready, because like you're saying, we had to, and see, old school. We always have to remember, you have to get not tech savvy, but tech. I always say I'm not tech functional, but I'm not tech literate, but tech functional. So you have to learn more about technology so that you can save your message. And what I did with Vic, I sent him messages. So Vic, I know I had considered some different titles for my message, and so oh, there we go. Oh, hey, Lorenzo's here. Tech aware. Okay, I was trying to have alliteration, Lorenzo, because I said tech savvy, and I tried to think of something with tech with an S. But it was not. I didn't want to say tech smart, okay? But because you don't have to be smart, but you do have to be aware. See, so thank you for throwing that in there, and welcome, Lorenzo. Good. But anyway, before I sent my messages to Vic, and I told them that when we were getting prepared for the broadcast, that before choosing the title of best, I had thought about these other titles: saving the best. Are you the, or are you your best? And what have you done? Similar to what have you done for me lately? Because the key is, what have you done to make you the best? And so with each of these words, would fit easily into what we're going to discuss today. So let's get started by highlighting something that I ask for every week, and that is people put words in the feed to become next week's co-authors. And the only requirement is that the word begin with the upcoming featured letter. So I'm not asking you to do that, but I'm just reminding you, regardless of whether it was a positive or apparently negative word. And because turning a negative into a positive is part of the joy of living in life, we're going to kick off. We're going to kick off and oops, I said kick off. That's that I opened the door for Vic with football season. Go on, Vic. I know I'll open the door with football season. What you got to say about football season?
That is going to be there. Count on it. Super Bowl number 6 coming up. We have embarrassed ourselves. We're going to redeem ourselves.
And that was one of our bonding friendship things. We both grew up as Dallas Cowboy fans. All right. But here's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you, here's Vic's first word, which he already, spoiler alert, you may have heard it, but I sent it to him. And that's why I say, even if you put a word in the thread for next week that you may think it's negative, that's why I say apparently a negative word. That's what we have to appreciate about the English language, is that we can take a negative and turn it into a positive. So Vic's first word is actually a word that he put into the thread last week, and that word is sorry. So Vic, go on and turn sorry into a positive for us. What you got?
I tell you what, man, all my life I heard people say, let's say you're sorry. And when I heard them tell me that, I kept saying to myself, how would they understand that you are apologizing? That whatever you did to them, and you may not have mean to offend them, but they were offended. So I have no problem of always saying I'm sorry after I hear something from somebody who's saying that, Vic, that offended me. And so I have to, even though I might not have meant it, I have to look at the way I'm taking it. So the word sorry to me is not something negative. It's something that some people need to hear if you truly are sorry, because you might not have offended them on purpose. It might have been something you said you didn't know it affected them in a way. Now you're truly sorry. So say it to them. And this way they can be relieved, know that you were sorry. And then you both can be back on the same page. You see, it's a misunderstanding sometimes when people feel like I'm too prideful to admit I was wrong. So I'm not going to ever say I'm sorry. That is defeating the whole thing. Now this person is saying, well, he's not sorry. He can't even say he's sorry. So how can he be sorry? And they will always.
And how can he be his best if he's sorry?
Yeah, exactly. So if you truly have offended somebody, and they feel a certain way, make sure they understand that you are very sorry that you did that to them. And now you want to amend for it, whatever it is. Okay. And this world we need each other now. Okay, like before. Okay, it's a time not to judge anybody, but to help everybody. Because I don't know one person right now that don't have problems Okay, you may not be sharing it, thinking you don't got a problem, but I know inside, when you close the door, when people you love are worrying, you're worrying. Okay,
Mm.
so I know we have our own worry and we're sorry. Always not be afraid to say that is my point. Because that
Okay.
will, you don't know how that will.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
And you
back to
know
you,
what? We
Spring.
got let's get some shout outs that go right along with that. First of all, I'm gonna skip one ahead. And Bob, if you're still there, thank you for joining. And Bob, again, if you want to get on, come back and throw a word with the letter T in there for next week, please do that. But Daphne, welcome, welcome. And you know what I say, Daphne, you're not late, you're worth the wait. Because it's not late until it's over. And it's not over until not the fat lady sings, but until God said it's over. So that's cool. Lorenzo talks about he loved the football. I was a Big Ten. See, I told you, Vic. That's what I said. I opened the door for Vic. Talk about our Dallas Cowboys. But yeah, you got to slow down and recognize it. If they don't go to college, they're not making it to the pros. So thank you, Lorenzo. And I just had a conversation with someone the other day where I said, I actually don't watch the NFL as much as I used to because I call watching football watching men work. And in fact, I call it watching millionaires work. If you really want to enjoy football, you watch college football because they are all developing. That's why you see such high scores in the college games because even when the subs get in there, they are like, oh, well, this is my shot. I'm not going to take a knee. I'm going to try to score. So that's great. So thank you, Lorenzo. Again, Bob, my high school roommate, threw that in. What else Lorenzo got to say? Be well, Rob. Thank you. Oh man, and had 2 extractions yesterday. Ouch. So thank you for and see now this again, y'all. This is why we call it family. And even back to what Vic said about how we grew up together and kept the friendship. Lorenzo doesn't know Bob. I guarantee you that. Lorenzo's in Chicago. Bob's now in Connecticut, but Bob's, grew up, in Connecticut. We were in high school together, but Lorenzo's extending a goodbye to him. Y'all, and didn't Vic just say that? You
Yes.
have to let your pride go and just share with somebody and just say hello or take care. And Lorenzo said someone can say sorry about a snide remark is you are sorry. That's exasperating the bad feelings. Ooh, can say sorry. And a snide retort is you are sorry. Yeah. And that could make it even worse. So see now, there we go. So I those other ones came before you were finished, Vic, but that was, in relation to what you were talking about, the difference between saying sorry and being
Yes.
sorry. What do you see the difference in those two things are?
Big time is the way of that's your attitude. When you're telling somebody you are sorry, okay, you can say it for yourself how you mean it, but you can also say it negative that this person is a sorry person or how they have been acting towards you. But that is two of the opposite, you see. It's ways you can use that word. The way we use it is what makes it powerful. Because
Mm-hmm.
when I can feel the empathy when I hurt somebody, I can feel it. When I say I'm sorry, I truly mean it. See, but then as you can see, you can twist that an argument, and then you go, "Are you a sorry person?" You see what I'm saying? It's how we use words that make it important, and how we express ourselves, how we listen, and how we feel. Empathy, I find very is to this conversations. Okay,
And
because now I'm not angry no more when I hear certain things that I used to be. I have
okay.
learned from
And
listening to you,
I'm sorry.
Sporty, controlling my emotions. Go on.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I'm sorry,
Go on.
I'm sorry, Vic. Yeah, we've got the delay, and sometimes I know it sounds like I'm talking over you, but I'm, enjoying. This is what it's about, just enjoying the comments. Let me see if somebody. See, and then Veronica. Hey, Ronnie, you know Ronnie Jameson from 3170. Right, words are powerful. See,
Yes.
so echoing
Yes.
what Vic just said, words are powerful, and how you use them is going to make a difference. That's why I also streamed under when Vic was talking. What have you done? And and that's a question that you have to say, what have you done lately, and what have you done for me lately? But a key is, in terms of our broadcast, what have you done to be your best? What have you done to be your best, and make sure? And I'm going to give Ronnie shout out to us before we move on to Sporty and Vic. So it's good to see you, because I love it. Now, Vic and I didn't really totally practice. I gave him 2 words, and I told him we're going to alternate. So so that's why I was listening for what he's saying, and watch how it connects to what I'm saying. Because see, I'm about to talk about one of the okay, there we go. One of the
One
things
of
that
the
I made mention to and make mention to in my military seminars is a lesson that I learned from an Air Force chaplain. See, so just as we're talking about sorry, I want to bring this lesson up. And this chaplain said that the real moral behind the story of the 3 little pigs is not what kind of a house you built, but the fact that the storm is coming. And so what I've added is that after the storm, there'll be another one. Thus, my additional comment is that we have to trust God's track record and laugh at our lack record. See, so when we move from being sorry to recognizing that we are survivors, that's what becomes the key. You see, God's track record it's God's track record, because what he has done is gotten us past so many things. A lack record we have to look at, because a lack record is something where we say, well, I lack this. I don't have what it takes to be my best. I don't have the right size, the right education. I'm not the right color, the right sex, the right age. See, these are all the things that we may truly lack these things to get something done. But did we stop? Were we sorry about who we were trying to be our best? No, we said, even though I don't have this, I'm still going to make this attempt. And that's where it becomes our track record, because God knew you didn't have those things, but he also knew that he had you in place to make that accomplishment. So that's why it's important for us to see ourselves not only as people who are not sorry. Thank you for adding that in there, Lorenzo. You're not a sorry person, and for you echoing that, Vic, but we are survivors. And so, in fact, Lorenzo says, in disagreement, we must express how the situation made you feel as we get to reconciliation. Yeah, because sorrow is an emotion. Sorry is an emotion, and no emotion is wrong. But the key is, how did you make me feel when you did what you did? Back to what you were saying, Vic. Yeah, when you did this, how did you make me feel? That's how you move toward reconciliation. Because if you just say to somebody, look, you pissed me off, you did that, they get defensive. Whereas you say, you know what? When you said this, I felt that way. Now, come on, that's a longer seminar. I'm not going to solve that here on the broadcast, but maybe that's something I'll talk about another time, because it can be pretty sterile in how we say, talk about communication and sound like you're reading a script. But it's important to know so that you can make that difference. Ronnie said, this is good. Came right on time. Excellent. Thank you. That's the key. We're never sorry about that. Lorenzo, great words. The storm is coming. My saying, the sun is shining above the cloud. See how it all adds up? Yeah, the storm, after this storm, another storm is coming. And after that storm, another one. And therefore, Lorenzo, thank you for dropping that in, because you know what? Right now, I want to take us a moment to say and extend prayers in faith, not fear, to those in the path of Hurricane Ian. We want to take that moment and just say a silent prayer. Thank you. All right. Because the key is that nowhere is God. What'd you say, Vic?
Brother,
I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Down there. I gave you okay. Yeah, Jim Gregory is down there in Orlando. I gave him a call. He's okay.
Great. Thank you. And what Ron said, we must learn to forgive. And you know what I'll say here? My saying is, remember, because you got to be careful when we're talking about being our best. someone's not going to accept you for who you are. But so you can forgive. But I want to tell you something. I believe forgive and forget, but the penalty still applies. It's really important that we talk about the power of words. It's really important that we don't get so caught up in letting words only mean one thing, because most people will mistake your forgiveness, your niceness for weakness, your kindness for weakness. So, I want to mention that because we get caught up on, hey, you got to forgive. Yeah, but you know what? The penalty still applies. I forgive you. Like this is what Lorenzo was saying. You made me feel this way. I forgive you for making me feel bad, but I'm not going to forget that you did. And that is going to change our relationship. The wandering in the desert for 40 years wasn't plan A. That was consequence B. God originally, he said, I'm taking you to the promised land. Then when everybody showed that, when they were disobeying God, this and that, it was like, oh, well, you know what? We're not going to the promised land now. Instead, you're going to wander for 40 years and until you all die. See, the penalty still apply. You're still my chosen people. I forgive you and I forget that you did that. I'm going to let it go. But the penalty is now your heirs, your children will see the promised land, but you will not. Another lesson, y'all. But I just want to put a little dot on that when we talk about how important forgiveness is. And thank you, Lorenzo, for the prayers there, going right back to that. People don't forget, though. No, people don't. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying, Ronnie. Yeah, you can forgive and you can't forget. So that's why the penalty does apply. But it also, believe me, I'm not out in the ether. When I see these words, I like to make it connect to the points that we're already talking about. And so people don't forget. And so what Lorenzo said and what Victor was talking about too. See, I won't forget how you made me feel. So therefore now I may be uncomfortable when I'm with you next time because I won't forget what you did. So I forgave you for it, but I remember how you made me feel. And guess what? I don't want to feel that way anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, you have the right to not put yourself in a position. And again, like Vic was saying about being sorry, you have a right to not put yourself in a position to be sorry, and or feel sorry, or feel like you're less than. So you have a right to surround yourself with people who are gonna lift you up consistently, and until you can move forward with that, then I say, hey, recognize that it's okay to not include people in your daily lives. I will accept the be aware we are not the same as we once were, and limitations apply. Thank you. So that's what forgive and forget, but the penalty still applies. I like that breakdown there too, Lorenzo. It's not, be aware, that it's not the same. Vic talked about how many we've been. He didn't give you the number, but we're talking over 50 years. We in our 60s. We've been, and we can't say we've been friends since we were 2 because we weren't. But we don't know where it started, whether it started 5, 6, 7. But it's been over 50, close to 60 years, and our relationship has changed over the years, but we've been through some different things, it's all relative. Okay. And before I go on, Ronnie said, that's right. Don't put yourself in that position. Right. You don't put yourself in a position where you are going to not feel your best. See, we haven't lost track of our topic today. So thank y'all all, that's how it goes. But you have to look at things from so many different perspectives. That's right. And then Ronnie, lifetime grant for life. That's us. Grant projects, G4L, right?
Oh,
grant for life. Yeah, and isn't that not on our lack record? Because haven't some people say, "Oh man, you were born in the projects, you can't have this," and we say, "Oh no, I was born in the projects." Yeah, maybe the myth says I can't have or do this, but here's what I'm going to do, and that's where we're doing what? We're trusting our track record, laughing at our lack record, trusting God's track record, and laughing at our own lack record. We can't do it without God. Oh boy, y'all got me. Because nowhere in God's track record is it more salient than in each of our lives when we take the time to count our blessings. Name and throw a couple of your blessings in the chat now. So go on, y'all. Vic, you can't do it, by the way. I found out you and I can't put stuff in the chat. All right. But you and I can keep talking. But everybody else, I want you to name and
Okay.
throw a few of your blessings in the chat. And I'm going to give you this visual that reminds us that each of us is a survivor. I can and will make it through this storm,
Yes.
simply because I'm a survivor. It's what I do. What you got to say about that, Vic? What if we had access to the chat, what would you throw in there? Blessings that you've had.
Right now, the blessings of surviving these last 2 years and seeing a world and the open. The Mayans said something at the end of the calendar, that 5,000 count, our eyes will be wide open. The knowledge I'm receiving now, the blessing of it, the understanding of it now. But I do my own research now and my own and the blessings, and I am I am in wonderment of the things that we have done and the spirit of God and how we are his children, how he loves us. Okay, yeah, we're gonna go through these storms, but it's us to get through them together. It shows us how we are. I'm watching the ones that have betrayed us, and I'm watching the ones who are still there who love us. Yeah, we're suffering, but I know we're gonna come out stronger through this one day. Okay, because we can see, we feel the pain right now. Now we all together will come out this storm. That is my prayer. That is what I'm surviving. I'm seeing it myself now. Being on this broadcast right now and seeing that letter of retirement and what I'm going to be doing from this point on, which is refund the police, positive things, telling us we all need each other. We cannot survive in this society without each other. We have to care about the animals, the water, the planet. Without the planet, we don't survive. How can we turn our back on our own ecosystem that gives fresh air, the plants, the clean? We are the virus. We need the medicine put upon ourselves. Back to
Okay,
you, my brothers.
and see, now you pulling off of Ronnie's comment. Doctors, pastors, lawyers, and scientists and ecologists. We have all got to get together, and whether you're
Yes.
from the projects or wherever you're from, we got to make it work. And Ronnie also said, Vic, you have been faithful, and I'm proud of you. And that's what we have to do as well, is continue to encourage one another as we get through. So I'm looking for some. Okay, good. Here's Tina's going to give us one of her blessings. And that is her blessing is the ability to see many of the young people I work through, by the way. And I love that term because I like, instead of not work for, we work through people. Various organizations become successful young adults that have a positive impact on our community. That is a huge blessing that Tina has. And I know Tina from us doing that work together with the National Black MBA Association as one of the organizations that she's done. And she's coming to us actually from LinkedIn. So that's why I tell everybody, put your comments in the chat so I can share them, because Facebook people would not see this comment until I click on it and let that be shared across the mediums. Again, social media lesson. So anybody else, as we move on, please continue. Put your blessings in. And I like to say, even if you're watching the video, go on and put your blessings in the thread, in the chat. And then you're going to be surprised to see how just what you put, even without knowing in advance, it comes up and it adds to the bigger picture, because all of us are part of the bigger picture. All right. So now we can start, Vic, we're going to start to bring this message home with your talking about how the S in BEST, which is better, easier, smarter, tougher, but that S could also stand for better, easier, superior, tougher. So what do you got for the word superior that has to take us toward being our best?
The word superior to take us to being our best is to be understanding that though you are superior, sometimes it's always good to be, and then that superiority will even shine even more. But now you are sharing your superiority. You will be able to bring people up to your supposed to be superiority level. Okay, by being humble, you want to bring your enjoyment to them. Don't ever feel that you're better than anybody. Feel that you can bring them to you and then you all joy. Okay, because we need each other. And the ones that feel lesser, no, we can make them feel better. Everybody has their own gift, their own way of their own special thing. And we all, okay, even the ones that we think are superior, no, they have their problems too. And by interacting, by showing humble, okay, you now, even though you may do things a certain way better, you don't have that, okay, you are not in my class thing. We are to end this together now. You see, it's very important to make people comfortable around you. Okay, so this feeling of superiority, humble it. Keep it to inside yourself. Always feel that you're strong and doing you're number one, but you don't have to show it. And people that have less problems, you don't got to boast about it. What you do is you teach them how to be as good as you are. Then you watch them grow.
Absolutely, how to be their best. You know,
Grow.
when I started my speaking business, my little tagline was, "I'm going to be the Muhammad Ali of motivational speaking, the greatest." And then I said, you know what? After about 2 months, I said, well, you know what? Muhammad Ali is the sporty king of boxing. You see, you have to, like Vic said, you teach people to be their best. They're not going to be like you. And even that, you know, Vic, I'm gonna take it back to the shout out you gave me, you know, teaching you how to use this technology. That doesn't mean that, oh, now Vic don't have to be as good at this as I am. I'm in the speaking business, and Vic is in the travel business. I'm about to put his website up, but you know, I'm not looking to be as good as he is in his lane, and he should not look to be as good as I am in mine. And I think you have to recognize, excuse me, when people, excuse me, talk to you about teaching you how to be, you know, good in this field. And I'll use mine as an example. Oh, you want to be a better speaker? Come to my seminar. I'm not, you know what? In a way, that may help you, but in a way, it may not, because I'm going to be teaching you how what I did. And see, what I did may not be what you need to do to be better. And that's why, like what Vic was saying, are you your best? See, are you your best? That superiority, we tend to hear it with superiority complex. But yeah, you can be superior, but the key is, you can be superior in the moment. You can be the best, but are you being your best? And that's why when we look at a gift that Ronnie put in the chat, unity, that's a blessing. See, you know, that's where, you know, you can look at, like Vic said, it's superiority and see it as humility, because you're unifying, you're bringing people together. So that's what you want to do. And so, and again, bringing it together so that they can go somewhere. I want to give you Vic's website, www.vm.globaltravel.com. You know, his talking to us about sorry and superior. That's where he was coming from. You know, that because everybody's got a different launching point of what their viewpoint is. And so right now, that's where Vic has landed. So thanks again, Vic, for being my co-host on your Glue debut as we start to close this message out. And as we start to close it out, I'm sorry, what'd you say, Vic? Oh, just a thumbs up. Okay.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
I thank you so much for this.
See, we got a double delay because there's a delay in the streaming, but then there's also, we got some delay in your commenting here. Okay, cool in the gang. So as we start to close it down, I want to look at our closing word, which is solvent. And you see it right there on the bottom. Okay. Now, there are three definitions for solvent. Okay. It's a noun, the liquid in which which a solute is dissolved to form a solution. It's an adjective, able to dissolve. And then I'm going to take that third definition, having assets in excess of liabilities, able to pay one's debts, but having assets in excess of one's liabilities. See, that becomes the key. And I'm going to go right to that number 3 and then take us back to doing what? Trusting God's track record. Trusting God's track record. That's assets in excess of liabilities. And the blessings that you have dropped in the chat. Oh, okay. I thought I heard something. Okay. So the blessings that you have dropped in the chat, okay? You see, you have to see them as your track record, and then you have to have had some testimonies in your life, more testimonies in your life than trials. And that's why you see that it becomes trusting God's track record, because you've got more assets than you have liabilities. And even when I say there's more positive things than negative in your life, there's at least one more, because there's that one thing that you decided not to do, maybe not in your adult life, that stops you from losing your life. I always laugh and say maybe it was when you were 3 years old and decided not to fall in the toilet and bump your head. You've always done one more good thing than one bad. So you just have to count those blessings as your testimonies as assets, and your trials as liability, and you've got more of them than that. So I'm going to go with that number 3, because I want you to have, because you remember that you've been able to be in position to share that you've never had to be perfect. You've only had to be your best. You've never had to be perfect. You've only had to be your best. You see, each challenge has been your last challenge. Each challenge, that was the last challenge I had. Each challenge has been your last challenge. And all you've done to prepare for it has made you your best. You're better. Yes. Every challenge that you prepared for has made you better. It's made you easy. It's gotten easier. It's made you smarter, and it's made you tougher. In other words,
yes,
each of my potential titles for this message actually flows through your veins. If you add them all up and realize that you're the best because you are related to, vouched for, and saved by the best. Thank you for enjoying this message. Next week's focus will be on the letter T. So don't trip up and trip past the chance to be one of my co-authors. And remember, I don't need to hump and get over. I need to keep it together. I want to thank my co-authors and my first-time co-host, Vic, okay, and Tina, Daphne, and Lorenzo. And I look forward to thanking you next week on my October 5th message, which will feature the letter T, which now you can drop in the chat, words that begin with the letter T. And remember, you don't have to worry about what the message is going to be. You just drop the word in there. And we will also be, because T is also the beginning and the end of TGIT, which is my Friday message, Gift Friday. Thank God it's today. Thank God it's tonight. Because it's not about TGIF. It's not about thanking God for Friday. It's thanking God for every day and every night. Because when you are brave enough to lay your head down and go to sleep, thanking God it's tonight, and then you wake up in the morning and you get to thank God it's today, that's something that you want to be thanking God for the whole time. So again, have a good nest, because I don't know whether you're watching morning, afternoon, or evening, But isn't it great to have good in your salutation? And more importantly, thanks for watching, sharing, and enjoying Glue Wednesday, where God's love undoes everything. Peace. And I'll stay on a little and collect some words. Tina's going to use temptation. Thanks, Vic. How'd you like it, Vic? You're still on the air. Be careful what you say.
Oh, it was wonderful. Oh no, I'm good, man. This was quite the experience, brother. And I'm gonna do, get my podcast. I see now what to do. This is excellent. Okay, you got my travel thing in there, which is good. I can reach out to my peoples now. This message here of us being together, excellent. Excellent, my brother. This
Thanks a
experience
lot.
is priceless.
Cool. Well, we didn't get a lot of T words for that, so I guess they'll come in from the video later, and that'll be fine. But I thought I got
I'll
another
put
one.
mine in later.
Yeah, right. Because you can't put it in while you're on the broadcast. Neither can I. I can't type stuff into the comments either. And again, if you're on YouTube, put it in the comments, not the chat. So temptation, I also, even though Tina, temptation means to for somebody to ooh, I want to do it. I don't know. But I also think of the Temptations. And I think of one of Motown's favorite groups. And see, that's what we can do with the power of words. Yeah, Ronnie throwing the word teach. Because, teach and preach. Yeah, we have to remember to teach one another. Vic talked about it earlier, about how we're all in this together. Yes. So we have to, there's that slogan, each one teach one. That means you are responsible for being your best. So because somebody is watching you and you're teaching people that you don't even know that you're teaching. Total strangers are checking you out.
That's right.
So you're teaching somebody.
That's right.
So who are you? Yes, and what are you going to teach? So we'll see what we teach next week. And as Ronnie always calls me pastor, so I know she got a little preach in there too. All right, y'all. I'm going to click us on out now. Vic, thanks again for joining me. I appreciate you, man.
All right.
Ciao.